I haven't come forth in a great many years because I didn't want to be relegated to another guest on a TV talk show. But I can assure you, Satanism is here to stay.
And here we are for episode 56.
Episode 56 and a hurricane's coming.
I know. See, we're recording this show early. It's actually Saturday.
Yeah.
And we're in Central Florida, if you guys didn't know. So we're kind of bracing for the impact of Hurricane Irma. It'll probably be tomorrow, right?
Yeah, so we'll upload it and we'll have it up, set to upload on the normal time.
Yeah, because in
case we get blown away
I
or
know.
not here to do it.
I don't think we'll get blown away, but for sure the power will probably be out. So I wanted to get the show done and out of the way early so I can get it uploaded so it'll go out on time. Hopefully we'll be all right. We've already had one. Dean McCaskill already asked us. He sent me a message saying to be safe, and I was like, thanks, man.
Yeah, I know, and I'm trying to get that generator together. I'm just waiting for RTV to dry. Mechanics know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Black RTV takes forever to cure.
Hopefully it'll be all right. I mean, do you know how we spent the few hours last night? We were making pounds and pounds of pasta and boiled eggs and boiled chicken and stuff like that. Just so if the power goes out, we can make
we have cooked
pasta
food.
Salad and stuff like that.
Got propane, but we won't have electricity. Well, I'm planning not to have electricity.
We probably
may have it, but we'll see.
Won't. Because even if it's not that bad, the electricity is
and the ice makers can't make ice fast enough.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff that go wrong.
I know, it's terrible. Well, as long as the roof stays on.
Yeah. And
all the walls stay up, the windows stay unbroken.
I'm just going to sit there, hold the walls. I'll just push all my weight up against it like out of one of the zombie movies. I have to bring all the motorcycles indoors.
Yeah.
Actually, the motorcycles are probably safer in the garages because that's all cinder block.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But, by the time the show goes up, we should know if we're still alive or not. But we'll let you guys know.
This is the biggest storm in recorded
history, yeah. Right? And there's 2 more behind it. Yay.
Yeah.
Although I think one of them is little and it's hitting Mexico, so.
Yeah.
So.
190-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah, oh boy. Well, we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
But anyway, today the show is going to be about Anton LaVey.
Good old Anton.
And this is probably our most requested topic, I think.
Yeah.
It's been requested at least 3 times.
Yeah, I think so.
So we're finally getting around to doing it. If you remember, we did a show about Aleister Crowley back on episode 24.
Yeah.
So I think it was on that show that everyone was like, hey, do one on Anton LaVey? And I was like, all right, I'll get around to it. So
they're kind of on a related subject, occult-type leaders or dark occult spiritualists or something.
Yeah.
But, Anton was a lot different than Crowley.
Yeah, true. But before we do that, let's do our regular shout-outs. If you go to our t-shirt store, which is Zazzle.com/13o'clock, I actually I think I mentioned on our Escape from New York movie review that I made a Snake Plissken t-shirt.
Yeah, it came out cool.
But I've also made an Elizabeth Bathory shirt.
Yeah.
In honor of our show about her. So that's up there too. I'm going to make some more in the future. I just haven't got around to it yet. But those 2 are new and they're up there.
Yeah, all these shirts look cool too. You guys need to snap them up. Drink them up.
Also, I want to mention our Patreon page, of course, if you want to go to that. It's patreon.com/13o'clock podcast. If you would like to donate to the show and you don't want to do a monthly donation, then if you go to our blog, which is 13o'clockpodcast.com, 13o'clockpodcast.wordpress.com or something like that. You'll see it. Then there's a button on there where you can do a one-time PayPal donation if you would like to do that.
Yeah, so some people don't like Patreon.
Yeah, some people don't like Patreon or they don't want to do a monthly rolling donation, which is totally fine. But if you still want to donate to the show, then there's a PayPal donation little link on there.
We actually got a new Patreon.
Yes.
Last I saw.
Yeah.
It's been, I guess I haven't checked in a couple of days. There may be another one on there. But boy, we could use some more patrons.
Yeah.
We don't have that many. I think we only have 8.
Something like that,
yeah.
Well,
They're heavy lifters, though. Some of those people are paying $20 a month.
Yeah.
But we're going to hook them up. We're going to send them some cool merchandise.
Yeah, actually on the 15th, which is this Friday. Hopefully, if if we're still if our house is still standing, then I'm gonna be sending out some books and bookmarks and
we'll some goodies,
swag to our $20 and up patrons.
Yeah.
So those will be mailed out on the 15th. So keep an eye out for that. And what else? We're gonna put up a new movie review. There should be a new movie review. By the time this goes up, there should be another movie review up.
Yeah.
Which will be An American Werewolf in London.
Yeah, this is a good movie.
But yeah, so that should be up by the time this show goes up, hopefully. Also, my new book, The Faceless Villain, which is a true crime compilation.
Almost finished.
Is almost finished.
Yeah.
I have only just a tiny little bit left to do, and then I still have to do the print layout. But
if it wasn't for the storm, probably in a matter of a couple of days, you'd have it up there.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to get most of it done, before the storm came, and then I got other work and stuff like that. But, it should be done very soon, and like I said, I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be for sale by, mid-October, the latest. Maybe not the audiobook, because that takes a little bit longer, but the print and the ebook should definitely be up by mid-October. Yeah. And maybe the audiobook by then, too.
You changed the look of the title cards of the new movie reviews. I think they look
I
really
did,
good.
Yeah. Well, because you complained.
Yeah, they look, I thought it was kind of boring looking.
With the red curtains. You don't like the red curtains.
It was okay. We did it so quickly.
Yeah, I just kind of threw them together.
Yeah. But there's a big difference now. You look at those title cards next to other movie reviews on YouTube, and they pop. They look really good.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just use cool stills from the movies and
I think it'll generate
and
interest.
The lettering from the
I think
posters.
I think we're getting more new subscribers based on the movie reviews than we did on the 13 o'clock at minutes, which is quite disappointing because boy, you put a lot of work into that.
Yeah, and I'm still going to do those. It's just they take a long time to do. The movie reviews are much easier.
Yeah.
Because, it's just a simple slideshow, and we've seen most of the movies, so we just kind of shoot the shit.
Gotta go where the market demand is. People like movie retrospectives and movie reviews.
Yeah, well, that's why we're concentrating more on doing those. Like I said, I'm still going to do some of the 13 o'clock in minutes videos. They just take longer.
And I got some new cool Blu-rays. People are going to love me. They're going to love me talking about some of these movies. Everybody knows that Flash Gordon's coming.
Yeah, you got Flash Gordon?
I got that bitch on Blu-ray. All right? And when it arrives, then we're going to do a Blu-ray review eventually.
Yeah, I've been wanting to do Flash Gordon, actually, because that movie's a lot of fun.
These new Blu-rays they're so much better than the DVDs. The colors pop a lot better. There's a lot more bonus material, but, in them, I like them.
Well, gosh, the John Carpenter movies that we've got, it's there's so much extra stuff on there that it's like
getting 3 movies.
Yeah. I mean, I think we didn't even get through all the extra stuff on the thing, did we?
No.
Yeah. And that's hours and hours and hours.
No, you can sit there and watch the thing and have the Crustle tell you what it was like to film. All the commentary.
Yeah.
I haven't got to that.
I haven't watched the commentary either. I watched some of the special effects documentaries and stuff like that.
Blu-ray on They Live was awesome too.
Yeah, we're gonna do They Live also because he just got that on Blu-ray too.
And saw that new Rambo movie.
Now see, we watched that last night because you bought it, right?
Yeah.
Because our friend Matt, hi Matt, he recommended it.
Yeah, Matt loves the Crustle. And I showed him the Crustle on Escape from New York. He had never seen it. And he goes, oh, man, that's a really good... Dude, have you seen the new Rambo? And I went, no. He goes, oh, you got to see the new
when
Rambo.
did that movie come out?
I think it was 2011 or something.
Okay, because we were watching it last night, because I was pretty sure I'd never seen it, but when we were watching it last night, I'm like, I have seen this fucking movie.
It had over-the-top gore.
It was very gory, yeah. But that's why I remember, I didn't remember that I'd seen it until we started watching it, and then I'm like, wait a second. Yeah. I've seen this before. Yeah. I don't know how or under what circumstances I would have seen it, unless I saw it with you.
I liked it all right.
Yeah, it was all right.
I don't think we'll do a movie review on it. But
probably not.
I liked it all right.
Well, there wasn't much to it other than limbs flying everywhere and people getting blown up by landmines.
Yeah, I kind of respect
and beheaded.
I kind of respect the Stallone for doing it, though.
Yeah.
He directed that, and I think he wrote a lot of it.
Yeah, he co-wrote it.
It was almost kind of like an independent film.
Yeah.
I don't know if it made money, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a shoot 'em up.
Some of the CGI was a little
the bomb blast.
dodgy.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was an alright movie. I kind of enjoyed it. But like I said, I was watching it. I was like, I'm sure I've seen this fucking movie before, but I don't know.
A lot of people have taken little samples of the scenes and put them in their videos. I've seen some of those people blowing up before. Okay, we got.
I recognize that guy blowing up.
We got to get to LaVey.
All right, so today we are talking about Anton LaVey.
Yeah.
Kind of talking about, I don't know, we're just kind of shooting the shit about him in general.
Yeah.
He seemed like sort of a fascinating character, much like Aleister Crowley was. I think Crowley took it more seriously.
Yeah, Crowley believed in his bullshit.
I think he really did.
At least, yeah.
I don't think Anton LaVey did.
No, I think it was the marketing.
Yeah, I think it was...
But he was cool. He was a showman.
Yeah, I was going to say he was very P.T. Barnum type of...
and he didn't deny that. He said that's part of Satanism.
Yeah.
He called it lesser magic. If I remember correctly, he said lesser or greater magic. I think he called it lesser magic. It's been a long time since I've read the book. He wasn't being deceptive.
No, he did admit that he was a liar.
And he did.
That he made a lot of things up.
Exactly.
And that you would never,
He's a very entertaining guy.
Yeah. But like I said, much like Crowley, there's so much legend and myth and stuff like that surrounding him. A lot of him generated by himself that, in later years, like after he died, people came forward and said, no, that wasn't true, or, various people that investigated him. Like, probably from his early life, how he explained, like, getting into Satanism and stuff like that, was that, he left high school and went to join the circus, or the carnival, and that he worked as a cage boy, like
and
a lion tamer, that type of thing.
And a organist for the circus organ.
Yeah, he played like the organ in the calliope and stuff like that.
That's what it's called, yeah.
Okay, so he said that he got the idea, the sort of kernel of the idea of starting Satanism, so he says, because when he joined the carnival, he said, I saw the same people coming out and watching all the burlesque shows and all the stuff at the carnival, and then you'd see them Sunday in the revival tent, praising Jesus and all this other stuff. So he saw like the hypocrisy of religion pretty much, that's what he said. And that's kind of what encouraged him to get away from religion or organized religion and start...
Yeah, he ended up making an unreligion, basically.
Yeah.
Based on philosophies that had already existed, if you ask me.
Yeah, well, he swiped most of his ideas. Well, actually, he pretty much swiped all his ideas.
Yeah, it's like a mixture of Ayn Rand and Friedrich Nietzsche.
Well, and honestly, and I'll probably bring this up later, but a lot of the stuff that's in the Satanic Bible and stuff like that, some of it he stole word for word from a white supremacist screed from 1896 called Might is Right by Ragnar Redbeard, who they don't know who that person was. It was, it was like a pseudonym. But, it was sort of this really scary, racist. But the thing is, Anton LaVey, because he was Jewish, I'm guessing that when he wrote the Satanic Bible, he's like, oh, well, I like some of the ideas from Might is Right, the more libertarian type of ideas, but he didn't like all the racism and proto-fascism and stuff like that was in there, so he got rid of all that and sort of replaced it with esotericism, like philosophical kind of stuff that he stole from, like, John Dee, like Enochian Keys and all that kind of stuff. But like I said, some of the stuff that's in the Satanic Bible was taken word for word from Might is Right.
Well, he liked panache.
Yeah.
Might is Right probably had some pretty cool passages in it.
Yeah.
It sounded good. So
it was like some kind of Viking.
LaVey himself said that it's your right to steal things.
Yeah.
Basically. If you can steal it or if you can flip an idea around, then you should, if you like it.
Yeah.
It's part of your abilities. So there's nothing wrong with plagiarizing and stealing.
Yeah, and he probably figured, the guy's dead. What's he going to do?
Yeah, sure.
That was a long time ago. That's probably in the public domain then anyway. But, the thing is, LaVey, like I said, the stuff about him joining the carnival and all that kind of stuff, there's really no evidence that he had really ever joined the carnival. However, when he was a little bit older, he was an organ player and played the calliope and things like that. And, he moved out to, he lived in San Francisco. He was actually born in San Francisco. And then later he went to LA and he was able to get jobs in nightclubs and stuff like that, playing the organ and whatnot, and in various burlesque houses. Now, there's also a legend, too, I think that he came up with, that he had an affair with the then unknown Marilyn Monroe when she was a burlesque dancer at the Mayan Theater.
Huh.
Now, this has been denied by pretty much everyone, because everyone says, for one thing, the Mayan Theater was never a burlesque theater, and for another thing, Marilyn Monroe had never danced there. So, he probably made that up also.
Yeah, I don't think he had anything to do with Marilyn Monroe.
No one else thinks that either.
It was common for him to make up stories.
Like I said, that's why it's kind of hard, and like Crowley, it's kind of hard to get to the bottom of it, because he was really a really good self-promoter.
Yeah.
So he would just make things up. Like I said, he never denied that, really. He even said that in his biography. Like, he would make up all these stories.
Sure.
He's like, I'm a liar. That's what Satan does, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's part of his magic.
Yeah. That's part of his shtick.
Well, that's what they say.
Yeah. So then he claims, after that whole thing happened, then he claims that he went back to San Francisco, and then he says that he worked, I think he worked as like a crime photographer for the San Francisco Police Department.
I think that did
Which
happen.
he might have in some capacity. He also said he worked as a psychic investigator, which I think was kind of, all right, I can buy that.
I don't know who paid him.
Right. He might have been like a freelance psychic investigator. He said that the San Francisco Police Department referred him some cases like psychics. Now, some police departments do use psychics. I don't think they like that to be publicized necessarily.
I guarantee you
so it's possible. But
I guarantee you there wasn't much to that.
No, I don't think so. Like I said, some of it might be true, but he probably like exaggerated a lot. Kind of during this time when he was into all this, psychic investigation and occult interest and stuff like that, he kind of made friends with like a lot of horror sci-fi type of writers, like a lot of writers that worked for Weird Tales magazine and stuff like that, like Clark Ashton Smith and people of that nature. So he kind of got into those sort of circles. Yeah. He got married. He eventually ended up marrying once or twice, but he had like a bunch of different girlfriends. He had some kids, and Xena is probably the most famous one because she was on that Geraldo show. Yeah,
good looking woman.
I think we talked about her a little bit on that show that back in episode 2 when we did Satanic Panic. And even though she was kind of into the church for a long time, it was like a representative of it. After he died, she kind of renounced him and went an opposite way. There were allegations after he died that he had been abusive, and I don't know toward her or toward her mother or whatever, because he was never married to her mother, although they were together for 25 years.
Anton was a good showman, but basically what he was he was a scenester. A lot of the stuff that he did, you could really only get away with it if you were in the right social scenes, social circles. Yeah,
I think it definitely helped that he was kind of in with all these other sort of psychic investigators, these sort of, sci-fi writers. And he kind of, because he played organ in LA nightclubs and stuff like that, I guess he kind of got in with a little bit of the Hollywood scene and stuff too. And, he started having parties and like more and more famous people would come.
Yeah, I think there was a claim that he knew Manson.
Charles Manson.
Yeah. It's my understanding that he may have known Charles Manson too, or at least met him.
Yeah, I'm not sure, and I might get a little bit more into that later, but I'm not sure if he knew Charles Manson, but it's pretty much for sure that he knew Susan Atkins.
Okay.
Yeah, so I might talk about that a little bit later, but...
Did you know that the Beach Boys knew Charles Manson?
Yeah, everybody knows that.
That one dude said, man, he was pretty good, he could play.
Yeah. Didn't they... Well, I thought they bought some of his songs, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure I heard that.
Yeah, I don't know.
That they bought some of his songs, like, before he went all serial killery.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And actually, he
wasn't really a serial killer, though.
Well, he was like the mastermind, cult leader that made people be serial killers. Yeah, it's funny because the association between Satanism and Anton LaVey and Charles Manson was one of the things that kind of made a lot of people run away from the church. You know what I mean? After 1969.
Started to fall apart. It was a fad, for a while.
It definitely was. I definitely think, in the mid-60s, and I think we talked about this too on the Satanic Panic show, that people were becoming disillusioned with traditional religions and stuff like that. So we're, all the hippies and stuff, they were looking for other stuff, New Age type religion. And so it seems like Anton LaVey came along at just the right time.
It's the right place, the right time, the right character and personality. And, shit. Some of these Hollywood people would go to his house and go to parties with him and would become Satanists. Sammy Davis Jr.
Yeah.
Sammy Davis Jr. Yeah.
He was in it for a while, yeah.
Yeah, if you watch the Cannonball Run, he's dressed as a priest and he's wearing the little satanic church fucking head of Baphomet.
Does he have the one red fingernail, the pinky fingernail? I'd have to see that. I saw that movie a million times when I was growing up, but I haven't seen it since then. But that was kind of one of their little things where they would paint their pinky fingernail red. And apparently he did that. So yeah, he was in there for a while too. Now, the Church of Satan was founded, of course, or so he says, on June 6th, 1966. Which in, Rosemary's Baby was when it was conceived.
He called it the year one.
Year one, yes. Yeah. Anna Satanis or whatever it was. Like I said, ever the showman, ever the P.T. Barnum kind of thing. And he also said that our little kitten keeps running in and out of the room. That's why you keep hearing the door creak.
She can actually open the door.
Yeah, she figured out how to open the door. And she keeps coming in and be like, what are you guys doing in here?
There we go.
Okay, yeah. That door doesn't really close all the way. But she keeps pushing the door.
I gotta fix that.
Yeah, you should. But yeah, so he claims that June 6, 1966, he proclaimed it year one. He's like, I'm going to shave my head and I'm going to start a satanic cult. Now, later on, his wife or girlfriend at the time said, well, he actually shaved his head because I dared him to. Or he lost a bet or something.
It looks really cool. It looks just like Max von Sydow from Ming the Merciless.
Yeah, and he actually has been compared to looking like Ming the Merciless.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, there were actually like a lot of, because it wasn't... it was kind of a hip thing to be in the Church of Satan.
Yeah.
Because the Church of Satan, they weren't really religious. I mean, even from their founding, I don't think they were meant to be. They didn't really believe in the devil. They didn't believe in demons. They didn't believe in any supernatural entities.
No,
it was kind of more about just being a hedonistic, individualistic thing that had some kind of ritual on top of it, just as kind of a fun, indulgent.
Yeah, I'd almost describe it as like a more stylish version of atheism.
Yeah, and it actually is an atheistic,
right?
As it still is now, and so are the offshoot groups.
Yeah, they just use the devil and the idea of the devil and Satan to troll Christians and like squares.
Yeah,
that'd be weird.
Just because they know that people are afraid of that type of thing and stuff like that, but. It's actually kind of funny to me because I had never heard any of Anton LaVey's. Like, he made a couple albums and stuff like that because, he played the organ in Calliope. And this is an interesting fact, too. Anton LaVey, as much as he is kind of name-checked by a lot of, death metal bands, he hated that kind of music.
I didn't know that.
Hated that kind of music. He liked old stuff. He liked really old, like, he was an old organ player, but he liked stuff from the 30s and stuff like that from when he was growing up. Yeah. He couldn't stand any of that heavy metal or any of that stuff. And I don't even think he liked rock music particularly.
Marilyn Manson went to go meet up with him.
Yeah, that's true. I think I have a picture of that.
Manson said the house was pretty shabby at the time, and that he was just like a regular old guy. And I bet you Anton didn't even know who Marilyn Manson was.
He probably didn't.
Yeah.
It seemed like most of the music that he liked was old stuff.
Right.
He really didn't like any heavy metal or anything like that. Yeah, so like I said, when he formed the Church of Satan, I think some of the hippies of kind of a darker predilection were kind of like, oh, that's kind of a cool idea. Yeah. But I had never heard any of Anton LaVey's albums because he made a couple. And so when I was researching the show, I said, well, I want like a little music snippet from something that he wrote or anything. I don't think he sang, but because most of it was instrumental or there was a woman singing on it. It's funny to me because it's very, I think I said to you yesterday, I said, it's very Count Chocula. Which I'm not sure if that was like scary or like freaked out the squares at the time, but like now in fact, the song that I have that I'm going to put at the end actually reminded me of that 45 Grave song, the one about the vampire. I can't remember what it's called.
I don't remember it either.
But yeah, I'll find it later. But yeah, it kind of reminds me of that. Like, it's very cartoony, like a Disney Halloween kind of special sort of music. But so not particularly frightening, I don't think. But apparently a lot of people were freaked out by it. But, not so much in the 60s. Like I said, they kind of, he got a lot of Hollywood people to come to his parties and shit like that. Now, he had a house called the Black House.
Yeah.
And he had all of these big parties there, and he would have rituals there. Probably one of the reasons that his parties were so famous was because he would have these kind of black mass ceremonies with naked ladies, and they would be acting as the altar, and he would have dancers and stuff like that. Yeah,
some of them are filmed. You can show some of them.
Yeah, there's pictures of them all over the place.
They're definitely putting on a show.
And
back in the day, it would have tripped you out, but you look at it today, it's
it was
very
theatricality, very Alice Cooper type, Alice Cooper type of thing, like he would do a little bit later. Like I said, which I've never understood why people found that sort of thing frightening or anything like that. But what do I know? Yeah. But interestingly, at one of his parties, and actually it might have been more than one, but in about 1967, he was having like a party that he was just calling the Witches' Sabbath or whatever, and he was like looking around for women to dance naked at it, or dance topless rather. And one of these women was Susan Atkins. Now this was 2 years before the Manson murders.
Okay.
And she was apparently a pretty normal chick. Now, she wrote a book later, which I didn't know, because she found Jesus, of course.
Right.
And so she kind of wrote a book about, I was a devil worshiper, and now I found the light, and blah, blah, blah. Evidently, from what I can read. Yeah, I'm not going to read it, jeez. Yeah. But in that book, she says that over the course of like the rehearsals for this party, you know, she was practicing her dancing and all this other stuff. She says that her boyfriend at the time, you know, said, well, I could see you changing like that whole time that you were like, so she was like being taken over by the dark side. I don't know if she was trying to like allay some responsibility for her later actions by saying Anton LaVey put a curse on me or some shit like that. I don't know if that's what she was saying, but she was saying that that was the start of her downfall that led with her murdering several people.
Yeah, it wasn't that, though.
No, of course not. Like I said, that was just her kind of saying, oh, the devil made me do it, just in a more roundabout way. But I'll tell you what, okay, so we're at the halfway point right now, so we are going to take a break right now, and then when we come back, we will talk some more about Anton LaVey. Hey, 13 O'Clock fans! Love the show but don't have an hour to spare? Check out our new list channel, 13 O'Clock in Minutes. All the fun, creepy topics of the main podcast, but in easy-to-swallow, bite-sized pieces. Links in the description. More videos to come soon. Okay, so we're back talking about Anton LaVey. Now, really the Church of Satan, it's kind of, you know, faddishness or popularity or something like that, really didn't last much beyond 1969. It still exists today, obviously. After Anton LaVey's death, it was taken over by Peter H. Gilmore, who still runs it now. Yeah, and I recommend that guy. He does a really good podcast. Peter H. Gilmore. Yeah. He's funny. Yeah, so he's the high priest. He's smart, too, yeah. But at the time, probably the best known, other than, you know, the writers that were in the group and Sammy Davis Jr. and stuff like that, I think his best known association, Hollywood-wise, was with Jayne Mansfield. Now, Jayne Mansfield, probably best known, I don't know if younger listeners know who she is, you would think she does. Very popular 50s blonde bombshell type of, she posed for Playboy, that's kind of how she got famous. She was in a couple movies, including probably her most famous one is The Girl Can't Help It, which actually we just watched a review of last night. She was kind of a Marilyn Monroe type, but much more, you know, voluptuous, like big, huge tits and stuff like that. You know, Jayne Mansfield. She was kind of a flash in the pan, I guess. She was really only famous for a few years. I think she got famous in the late 50s, and then by the time early 1960s. Howard Hughes liked her. Yeah, I mean, she seemed like a cool chick. That was one of his girlfriends. Seen a couple of other movies that she was in, and she seems like a cutie pie. You know, by the time the early 60s rolled around, her fame was kind of on the wane. Yeah. And apparently, I don't know if she got associated with the Church of Satan as a sort of gimmick or because she thought it would make her seem edgier. She wanted to do something kind of controversial, rather. But by all accounts, she and Anton LaVey were actually really good friends. Okay. She spent a lot of time at his house. He would come to her house, which was called the Pink Palace. And had a heart-shaped pool. She had a little chihuahua, the whole deal. She was very, you know what I mean? She was kind of one of those type of girls. But apparently she was much smarter than she seemed. She would just kind of play dumb because she thought that's what people wanted. So her and Anton LaVey were pretty good friends. Now, apparently her boyfriend at the time, she was married 3 times. She didn't have a real super happy life. But her boyfriend at the time of her association with Anton LaVey was evidently super jealous. He didn't really, and he thought the whole Anton LaVey Satanism thing was stupid. Yeah. And, you know, when they would come over to Anton LaVey's house, he would, like, laugh at all this stuff and, like, look at this stupid bullshit, blah, 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 you know, and he would, like, you know, do that kind of crap. Now, the legend goes that Anton LaVey put a curse on this person. I can't remember what his name is. Ross something, I want to say. I had it here, but I don't know. Right. So he supposedly put a curse on him. That's what the legend goes. Now, a little while later, obviously, if you know anything about Jane Mansfield, him and her and one other guy that were in this car, there was a car accident, and the 3 adults were killed.
Right.
Her children were also in the car, but they all survived. I think the perception is that Jane Mansfield was decapitated. Mm-hmm. That is not the case. Okay. It was actually just her wig that kind of came off and went into the windshield, or was kind of stuck in the windshield. So she was not decapitated. But there was like a lot of rumor around that time that Anton LaVey's curse had killed her as well. Right. Like, because it was trying to get him. Right.
She was friendly fire.
Friendly fire in the satanic curse. That's terrible. Yeah. But yeah, so like I said, I don't know if that's true. That's kind of the only thing. There's kind of different cases about it, because there's some where he said that the guy like lit a candle like in his house. Yeah. And Anton LaVey was like, "Don't light that. That's my cursing candle. Like, I hope I put it out in time," or something like that. But then I don't know if the story changed, or if just later he got pissed and was like, "All right, fuck you, I'm cursing you for real." Right. But apparently, so the guy did get killed, like, not too long after that. Okay, so, like I said, kind of a hip thing for a few years, mid to late 60s. Then the whole Charles Manson thing happened. And it seems to me like the Manson murders were kind of like the abrupt end of the hippie era. Or, you know, that was... Or it
the
seems
shit had
like,
gone too far.
Yeah, pretty much. And because Susan Atkins was one of the killers, and she had also been associated with Anton LaVey, and Charles Manson also had some kind of similar ideas, or, you know, similar kind, I'm God and the devil, I'm this and that and the other thing. Right. Charles Manson was also kind of interested in Scientology too, wasn't he? Briefly.
Yeah, briefly.
So he liked all the bullshit belief systems, I guess. But
that was, you know, the LA scene back in those days. And
like I said, it does seem like a lot of people.
Yeah, all the notable people all hung out pretty much in the same scene. So, and I would hate
to cast aspersions, because I don't want to be one of those people like the people in the 80s during the Satanic Panic, like everybody that plays Dungeons and Dragons is a Satanist, blah blah blah. Right. Because there was so much of that shit going. Everybody was getting into crazy New Age beliefs and cults and stuff like that. And 99.99% of those people didn't kill anybody or didn't hurt anybody. They just,
most of them weren't even serious.
No, they just did it for a few years for fun, and they were like, okay, well, that was my wayward youth. Right. Kind of thing. And I think a lot of people that got involved in Satanism, same kind of thing.
Well, the nightclubs weren't as good back then, so you had to do something.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Nightclubs didn't really become good until the disco era.
I think that's actually probably a more controversial statement than Satanism.
Well, that was the beginning
disco.
That was the beginning of the modern.
Well, it was it was the beginning of the era where the nightclub was the center of a social scene. An end all be all. Yeah. So, you know, like I said, I would probably say disco probably started that off. Yeah. As much as then it broke into,
and then everybody got their own version of that. Yeah. You had metalheads and punk rockers.
And then you had in the early 80s, you had your new romantic type of stuff.
New romantic and everything.
With all the stuff in England about Basad.
But, you know, I think it was kind of like disco that brought that to the mainstream.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
To the mainstream, you know. But there. You know, New York had a punk underground scene before that. We're getting off topic, but really, disco brought the idea of the nightclub, I think, as a center of a social scene to the mainstream. Yeah. But how long are you going to run disco for? You know what I mean? Yeah. You need lots of cocaine to run disco.
And by the 80s, they had all run out.
Yeah, they had run out.
They had done all of the cocaine. But so like you said, in the 60s, I guess there, you know, people would have house parties, or they would have stuff like that. And so you had to do something different, I suppose. Right. Yeah. So it's like, oh, let's do Satanism. Let's have people dress in witch capes and, you know, with their boobies hanging out, and like touch each other with swords, and have all kind of like H.P. Lovecraft Necronomicon shit going on.
It was a California thing too.
I guess so, yeah. California. There's that Sally.
Well, I was born there, so I left in 81, and I know what California was back in those days. I remember it in the 70s. Yeah. And most of those people are gone now. Yeah. They moved to other parts of the United States, but long story.
Well, the thing too, like before we go on to something else, was that Jane Mansfield, you know, despite hanging out with Anton LaVey, and she would like go out to dinner with him and stuff, there were rumors that they, you know, had an affair, but, you know, that's not substantiated. She proclaimed all throughout her life that she was a Catholic and she didn't believe in Satanism and all that other kind of stuff. But like I said,
Satanists didn't believe in Satanism.
Satanists didn't believe in Satanism either. It was just kind of all a show. I think it still is.
Well, we can talk about what its tenets are. We have that.
Yeah. So, what's the thing about the Church of Satan? Now, like I said, he stole a great deal of ideas from philosophies, like you said, Nietzsche stole some stuff from Ayn Rand and, that type of social Darwinism type ideas and that kind of thing that were going on back then. And then he kind of added a layer of esotericism and philosophy on top of it. But at its core, it's an individualist. It's a little nihilistic too, I would think. But it's more of just like an individualistic philosophy that basically just says...
It describes man as man is, or how they believe man is. Yeah. And I agree with most of it, what they're saying, actually.
Okay, so the Church of Satan officially has 9 satanic statements.
Yeah, they're not commandments.
Not commandments. These are just statements
of truth.
And they also have 9 satanic sins, which we will get to in a minute. Yeah. But the 9 satanic statements, famously, are...
1. Satan represents indulgence instead of abstinence. And what they're talking about is, most of your religions, they're saying, they're asking you to abstain from pleasure. Yeah. Well, in this system, they're saying that's kind of dumb. Abstain, why? They're saying there's no afterlife, so there's no reason.
Yeah, like I said, it's an atheistic philosophy. Right. So, it's not kind of a course of, And the next one, which is number 2, Satan represents vital existence instead of spiritual pipe dreams.
Yeah, they're talking about, living in the here and now instead of some fantasy future.
Yeah,
in the
thinking
afterlife.
that something's going to happen after you die, that you'll go to heaven or wherever. Number 3, Satan represents undefiled wisdom instead of hypocritical self-deceit.
Yeah, they're saying that, it's better to know the truth instead of buying into this bullshit that you'd read in religions.
Right. Number 4, Satan represents kindness to those who deserve it instead of love wasted on ingrates.
What they're saying there is basically, only worry about people who are good people. Don't worry about bad people. Yeah. Or people that, aren't worth anything to you, because they're dumb or just bad,
Number 5, Satan represents vengeance instead of turning the other cheek.
Basically what they're saying is that sometimes you gotta slap a hoe. That's what they're talking about. You know what I mean? In today's terms, that would be, you better handle your business. Somebody does you wrong, you're gonna have to pay him back.
Number 6, Satan represents responsibility to the responsible instead of concern for psychic vampires.
Yeah, that kind of goes back...
We know one of those.
Yeah. That kind of goes back to just worry about the good people.
So a lot of these are kind of samey.
Yeah, they're kind of samey.
Number 7, Satan represents man as just another animal, sometimes better, more often worse than those who walk on all fours, who because of his divine, spiritual, and intellectual development, that part is in quotes, has become the most vicious animal of all.
Yeah, they're just saying, we're animals like the rest of the animals, and because we're smart, we can really put a hurting on things.
We can really think of some fucked up shit that perhaps a honey badger would not.
Right, yeah.
Number 8, Satan represents all of the so-called sins, as they all lead to physical, mental, or emotional gratification.
There was actually certain schools of Christian thought that you, in order to reach salvation, you had to commit sins. Yeah. You had to commit sins and know what sins are, and then you had to be absolved of those sins so you could transcend them. That's right. Yeah.
Which is actually a pretty good way. I mean, that if there was only a choice of 2 Christian cults where one said you can't have pie, and the other one said you can have pie if you ask for forgiveness after you eat the pie, then I know which one I'm going to do.
and do you know who was big into that? Rasputin.
Yeah, that figures.
That was Rasputin's version of Christianity. That's how he got in girls' pants.
I can do whatever I want.
Let's do some sin, and then I'll absolve you of the sin, so you know what absolution is like.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that sounds legit.
That way you can choose. You can choose good. You have to know evils in order to choose
See, now that makes more sense to me than listening to some crap from somebody that's never done anything. Yeah. And has never gone through any shit or anything like that. Like, how the fuck would they know anything? Right. It's just kind of like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like in the old days when couples would get marriage advice from some crusty old dude who was a virgin.
Yeah, an old priest that never been married.
Yeah, like, what the fuck would he know?
Yeah. Okay, what was number 9?
All right, number 9. Satan has been the best friend the church has ever had as he has kept it in business all these years.
Yeah, trolling.
Which they still do nowadays.
Yeah. So now, really, if you look at those 9 statements, there's not a whole lot to them that can be construed as unusual.
Yeah. Most of them aren't even really all that controversial.
Not anymore.
They're not satanic by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
And I don't think, I think that sometimes, because I don't know, like, I feel like a lot of, edgy teenagers were into this back in the day, because I think they thought it sounded like, more edgy than it was.
Well, I think in the days that was, outside the window of what was acceptable.
True, it was probably outside the window. It was outside the window of acceptability, sure. Right.
But nowadays, that's just kind of how things are.
Yeah, I don't think anyone is
for most people
offended by that anymore, unless they're like super fundamentalist or something like that. Now, there are also 9 satanic sins.
Yeah, the sins are funny, if you ask me.
Now, the sins of Satanism. Number 1 is stupidity.
Yeah, that's a sin.
Which I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree with some of this stuff, yeah. They're basically saying, Satanists should see through, see through people trying to deceive them and see through bullshit, on the whole. Number 2 is pretentiousness.
Yeah, don't be stuck up.
Which is kind of funny because, I don't know if I'd call Anton LaVey pretentious, but I think Crowley was more pretentious. At least Anton LaVey was like, yeah, it's all bullshit.
Well, Anton liked people that had, pride in the things that they do. You had to back it up. A person who is pretentious, has all this pride and it's unfounded. That's the way he saw it.
The number 3 satanic sin is solipsism.
Yeah.
Meaning projecting your own beliefs or responses onto other people, assuming that other people are the same as you.
Another way of looking at it is seeing yourself as the center of the universe as another interpretation of that.
Yeah, same type of thing. Number 4 is self-deceit, which is also in the satanic statements, but they thought it was important enough to double up on it. Number 5, herd conformity. That's pretty self-explanatory.
Be an individual.
Yeah. Number 6, lack of perspective. They say you must never lose sight of who and what you are and what a threat you can be by your very existence.
Yeah.
Number 7, forgetfulness of past orthodoxies. They're basically saying don't forget all the bullshit that happened back to us. Like, don't fall for the same bullshit again.
Right, yeah.
Like, if it's all, so be aware of things that have gone on before and don't fall for the same stuff again. Number 8, counterproductive pride.
Yeah.
He didn't have anything against pride per se, as you said, but you had to have something to be proud of. He didn't like people who were cocky or or like overconfident when they didn't have anything to back it up.
Yeah, if you had inferior skills, but then you're walking around like you're proud as hell, then you don't have the right to the pride.
And number 9, lack of aesthetics.
Yeah, bad taste and shit.
Or being a slob.
Yeah.
You had to kind of go out looking your best and stuff like that, which, we're in the goth subculture, so so we're well aware.
Actually, if you were to look at Anton and the Church of Satan and everything, in a way, they were goths. They were prototype goths.
Yeah, it's the same type of thing.
Same type of thing. Visually, they were goths.
Yeah.
Actually, some of the attitudes were. There were times there where some of the early goth scene, like especially the post-industrial goth, they were also Satanists, like guys from Death in June.
Yeah.
Current 93, they had elements of Satanism.
Now, throughout the 60s and 70s, Anton LaVey, he claimed that he was a consultant for Rosemary's Baby. He also said that he played Satan during the rape scene.
Yeah, which I really doubt.
Which everyone on the crew of Rosemary's Baby was like, no.
No, it didn't happen.
But, however, one movie he was involved with was The Devil's Reign, starring John Travolta and The Shat.
Really, The Shat? We got to see that one. LaVey was in that?
Yeah, briefly. He had and he actually was in that because I saw him.
Okay.
I haven't seen that movie in a long time, but I've seen.
We're going to see that. We're going to review that one.
Yeah, we definitely have to do The Devil's Reign. It's I think Ernest Borgnine was in it too,
awesome.
As a cult leader.
The Borg. I'm going to put the Borg on it.
The Borg.
Yeah,
we were just talking about him in our Escape from New York review because he played Cabby. But yeah, I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, he was in The Devil's Reign. But yeah, so Anton LaVey actually was in that. I think he's in one scene for 2 seconds or something like that. You can kind of see him in the background. But as the 70s went on, the church started to fall apart. After 1969, a lot of people
it didn't make money.
Left. Yeah, and it didn't make money. And he started trying to make money off of it by doing a Scientology type of thing and saying, oh, well, you can attain the higher levels if you give me X amount of dollars.
Right, yeah.
And I think a lot of people got pissed off at that. We're like, fuck you, man.
They saw through that.
Yeah. And that's why the whole religion of Satan, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot by telling everybody, hey, think for yourself and be individual and see through bullshit.
Give us some money.
Because then if you say, give us some money, everybody's like, man,
get out of here.
What did you teach me?
Well, the house started to fall apart.
Yeah.
The black house. You see photographs of it. The house is not very special looking. It's just normal San
Francisco. It's weird because almost every single thing I've read about Anton LaVey, the person that wrote the article felt the need to call the house ugly.
It kind of was.
Yeah, that was like the adjective that they all used. Yeah. I don't know if it was but they were all written at different times, but they all called it
And it was
ugly.
not a real expensive house. I mean, don't expect to see some kind of a black mansion somewhere in the middle of a manor.
Which would have been rad.
That'd have been really cool. No, this is just like a little townhouse.
Well, it's not. He wasn't like a zillionaire.
No,
like,
he couldn't afford.
Yeah, he didn't have any money. It's like he had a lot more notoriety than money.
Thick shag carpeting.
Yeah.
70s shag carpeting.
It's like he wrote a bunch of books and had some albums and stuff, but it's like even at its height, I don't know how many copies that book sold or how many copies this album sold. I mean, that's a very niche market.
Yeah.
Satanism. But by the time the 80s came around and, there was the whole satanic panic thing and stuff, so I feel like he maybe had a little bit of a revival then, but at that point, he was just kind of like a boogeyman for the fundamentalist right, really.
It was my understanding that, like this heavy metal guys and, of course, Marilyn Manson, some of those guys would go meet Anton LaVey.
Yeah.
And they would get, like, the official blessing. That,
even though, like I said...
he probably didn't give Anton any money, either.
No. And like I said, Anton LaVey might not have even known who the hell they were. Yeah. Just like, hey, these long-haired Satan guys want to come see you.
There's this guy out here named Vince Neil. He wants to...
Put some black candles and shit in the background. It'll be really
Vince
awesome.
Neil, yeah. His name is Tommy Lee. You know these guys? No, I don't know.
Who the hell is that? Yeah, give him some street cred. But, and then later on, I think some shit came out about Anton LaVey. Like, some of his wives, girlfriends had, like, restraining orders against him and things of that nature. So, he might not have been as nice a dude as...
Well, he never claimed to be a nice dude.
Yeah, but true. He never did claim to be a nice dude. So, yeah, that's fair enough. But like I said, he had a bunch of kids. 3 kids, I think. Xena is probably the most famous, like I said. And he also has a son named Satan, of course. Satan, Xerxes, Carnacki, LaVey.
That's hard.
I wish my name was Satan. That's pretty rad.
Let's talk about Michael Aquino.
Yeah, okay, so, like I said, if you saw our Satanic Panic show, I think we talked a little bit about him because he was on the same Geraldo show that Xena LaVey was on.
Actually, I changed my mind. We ought to talk about him last. What we should do is talk about Gilmore and what happened to the Church of Satan, and then we can talk about... Okay.
Yeah, because after Anton LaVey died, the church was taken over by Peter H. Gilmore.
Yeah.
And they're still around now. And they still... You don't really see as much, because I think people confuse them with the Satanic Temple, which are the ones that put those Baphomet statues, like in protest, like the troll, Christians that want to put big 10
there's a bunch of little...
That's not them. That's a different group.
There's a bunch of little unrelated factions. Anyone can claim to be some kind of satanic church. There's no...
pretty much.
There's no copyright for it or anything like that.
And honestly, I think a lot of these satanic churches, like I said, are basically just trolling organizations, or people just want to have people to hang out with and talk about philosophy and shit like that. I've seen it compared to like the Church of the Subgenius, where it's like not really a church in the sense that we come and worship like supernatural beings or anything like that. We just kind of, hang out with other like-minded people.
The best one going right now would be Gilmore, and he was the successor of Anton LaVey.
He seems to take it more seriously than LaVey ever did.
And he's a better guest on a podcast. Yeah. And he'd probably be a really cool guest. He's funny. You can see him. You can see him on YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, I always felt like Anton LaVey, like I said, I feel like he was doing it for publicity. Like he was very aware of his own legend and his myth and things like that. And I don't know if he took it seriously as a vehicle. I don't even think he philosophically took it seriously. Maybe. No. I don't really get that impression.
Gilmore's a little more serious. He sees it as a system.
He seems a little more scholarly about it.
Yeah, a system and a system that you could use to troll people.
Yeah.
And to be an individual.
Yeah.
And most of it has to do with looks, too. It gives you the ability to have a certain aesthetic.
Which I can just do that.
It's religion for atheists.
Yeah.
That's what he is.
Yeah, like I said, if you're an atheist, but you still want to kind of have the experience of like putting on some robes and going and hanging out with people and hanging out with naked ladies and stuff, then yeah, you can do that. If you're going to have a religion, that's really the best one to have. Because you're not like telling other people what to do.
It's a troll religion. It's similar to with the Church of the Spaghetti Monster.
Yeah, it's pretty much like that.
Yeah, but with a harder edge.
But yeah, so there's also, and like I said, so Satanic Temple, that's a different thing. But then there's also the Temple of Set.
Yeah, Aquino.
And that was started by Michael Aquino, who was in the Church of Satan for a long time.
Yeah, he was a military officer, too.
He was, yeah. And he was on that Geraldo show in the 80s that we talked about.
He almost kind of looks like the kid from Children of the Corn.
Isaac.
Yeah, looks like Isaac.
Isaac and Spock.
Yeah, and Spock combined. He always had a cool aesthetic.
Yeah, he's a weird-looking dude, but he was like a cool-looking dude.
And he was another one of the very serious ones.
Yeah, and the Temple of Set is still going, even though they probably only have maximum 500 members.
Yeah. What was great about that is during the Satanic Panic, they'd have him on Geraldo, and people would say these ridiculous things, and he'd just be sitting there, what are you guys talking about? They're
Well, I think that he actually... I'm not going to say he was responsible for like ending the Satanic or anything like that, but he was
one of the factors.
He was one of the factors because he would go on all these shows and he didn't get upset. He just stayed very calm. He stayed very rational, and he just calmly explained why all these things that they were accusing people of were crazy.
They're unfounded because there was no evidence.
Yeah, which is true. There wasn't.
Yeah, and he kind of took the wind out of the sails.
Yeah. And a lot of the talk shows in the 80s and stuff like that, they're just spectacle, right?
Yeah.
So, bread and circuses. So,
right, basically.
I think that the people that were audiences on that, particularly a show about Satanic Panic, I think they were kind of expecting the panelists to be these kind of like wild-eyed, like Charles Manson type of people where they're just like, we're crazy and we're going to kill people for the devil and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, Keno would show up and he was basically Spock.
Yeah.
And they're like,
he was a veteran. He was, and he was very educated.
Yeah, I think he was a major. I think.
Yeah, he might have been. Let me see.
He's either a major or a lieutenant colonel.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, he was a high-ranking military officer. But yeah, so Anton LaVey, he died in 1997.
Yeah.
There was actually Blanche Barton, who was his girlfriend or wife when he died. She wrote a book about him like a biography of him in 1990 called The Secret Life of a Satanist.
Yeah.
I'd be kind of curious to... Now, she's still in the Church of Satan. She's the high priestess, I believe.
Yeah.
So she's still sympathetic about him. But, later on, I think most of the stuff that came out about him later on was mostly just that he had made a bunch of stuff up, which he never denied, like I said.
Right.
I don't know. What are your feelings overall about Anton LaVey before we wrap everything up?
I think he was an amusing guy.
Yeah.
More than anything. I think he was the right guy at the right time to do what he did.
Yeah.
He was trying to monopolize on certain forces that were happening in society.
Do you think he was kind of responsible for the mainstreaming of the occult that sort of came out later in the culture? Like, look at all the satanic movies that came out in the 70s and stuff like that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was occult stuff going on anyway.
True.
Most of the occult stuff that was going on, though, was kind of what you'd call, like those little self-help groups. And how to get in touch with your inner spirits,
Your inner child.
Kind of like, remember that show that we saw about the cult, the fake guy who was having sex with all the men?
Oh, yeah.
What was the name of that?
I don't even remember, yeah.
Most of them were like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could look that up. The audience has no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah, we saw this documentary about it. I can't remember his name. I didn't know you were going to bring it up.
That's a good example of what was common in those days.
It wasn't Children of God. That was somebody else. That was the flirty fishing and all that kind of stuff, because we did a show about that. All right, so we're getting to the end of the show, so we better wrap it up before we talk about this all day.
Yeah.
And we have some more hurricane prep to do, plus another movie review that we got to record.
Yeah.
So remember, if you like the show, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to 13 O'Clock in Minutes, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter.
Yeah, and you guys got to excuse us for this show. It's very disjointed because we have the largest hurricane in history bearing down on us.
You guys should be glad we're even doing this.
Yeah, and I'm stressed out over fixing that damn generator because I don't want to be without power.
It'll be all right.
Okay. I don't want the house to blow down. 200-mile-an-hour winds. Woo!
We'll be okay.
Yeah, you better hope.
And if we're not okay, then we're not okay. We'll just figure.
I'm gonna use black magic to keep the house together.
That's what I mean. This is why we're good. It's good that we're doing a show on Anton LaVey. We're invoking
and you're asking
satanic powers.
Asking me what I feel about Anton LaVey just out of the corner. Says, man, Anton was cool. What am I going to say about it?
We're invoking Anton LaVey to help save us from the hurricane.
I mean, we meet people like that all the time at the club.
We do, yeah. Like I said, I guess in the 60s that was like kind of a big thing.
That's a big deal, but today...
But now we know at least a dozen people that are similar to that.
You meet a guy like that today, you're just like, oh, yeah, hey, how you doing, man? You know, you meet him all the time.
What's up, Satan?
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, so, and don't forget to check out our Patreon page, which is patreon.com/13o'clock podcast. And also, if you don't want to do a monthly donation, then like I said, on our blog, which is 13o'clockpodcast.wordpress.com, there is a link just right on the little side thing there that says PayPal, and you can make a one-time donation to PayPal if you would like to do that. That would be really cool. And that'll do it for episode 56 about Anton LaVey.
Yeah, buy some shirts, too.
Buy some shirts? Yeah. Sure, yeah. I put new ones up. I put a Countess Bathory up.
I'm wearing one right now.
You are, yeah. Well, I had to update a bunch of our old designs because they had the Project Entertainment Network. Right? Yeah.
Okay, good.
Because they had Project Entertainment. So, but all the shirts have been updated, and there are a couple new ones up. So go check them out because they're pretty cool. And that'll do it for episode 56. I think I already said that. Yeah. But whatever. And hopefully we don't get blown away.
Yeah, I'm looking outside.
But
looking outside the window.
Signing off, maybe for the last time.
Be like Wizard of Oz when the house blows away.
Don't even say that. Don't even say that. All right, so we'll see you guys next Tuesday, I hope. Bye.
He's really rather goofy trying.